Ethan worked through the next few days with more energy. He felt like something important had started. Every morning, he looked toward the trees, half hoping to see Kairali again. But the forest stayed quiet. One morning, while checking the moisture levels in the soil, Ethan heard a voice behind him. "You are not good at hiding hope." He turned quickly. Kairali stood at the edge of the farm, her large figure half hidden in the tall plants. "I was hoping to see you," Ethan said honestly. Kairali stepped forward. "I watched from the trees. You smile more now." "It's easier when someone understands you," Ethan said. She nodded. "I have thought much about our talks. I spoke to my sister. She says bonding with a human is foolish." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Bonding? It is a word among my people. When two share thoughts, walk together, trust deeply. It is rare." Ethan looked down. "Do you think we are bonded?" Kairali was quiet. "I do not know, but I do not wish to stop walking with you." Ethan smiled. "Then let's keep walking." Kairali brought him to a new place that day. It was a clear lake surrounded by tall blue grass. She took off her heavy armor and stepped into the water. Ethan turned away at first, unsure what was respectful. "You may look," she said. "Among my people, water means trust. We show ourselves only to those we respect." Ethan looked. Without her armor, Kairali looked different, not weaker, but more real. Her skin shimmered under the sunlight, and scars marked her past. "You're strong," he said, "and you are kind." They sat by the lake for hours. Kairali told him about her mother, about her training, about the battles she had seen. Ethan told her about Earth, his small farm, and how his parents had taught him to care for even the smallest plant. Later, Kairali said, "There is danger in what we do. My people do not like humans. If they learn I visit you, they may act." Ethan looked serious. "Then let's be careful. But I don't want to stop." "Nor do I," she said. Days passed. They met often in secret places. They talked, shared food, even laughed. Ethan found joy in her stories. Kairali found peace in his presence. One evening, a storm came. Ethan waited in the shelter, hoping Kairali would not try to come. But then he heard a crash. He ran out and found her near the field, holding her side. Blood ran down her arm. "What happened?" "I was followed," she said. "I escaped, but not without cost." Ethan helped her into the shelter. He cleaned the wound and wrapped it with care. "You should not help me," she whispered. "I want to," Ethan said. "You would do the same." She looked at him with soft eyes. "Yes, I would." That night, she rested. In his shelter, Ethan sat beside her, watching the storm. He felt something deep, something unspoken. Kairali opened her eyes. "In our bond rituals, one must offer a sign, a symbol of trust." Ethan took off a small silver ring from his finger. "My mother gave me this. It means home to me." He placed it in her large hand. She closed her fingers over it. "Then I will guard it." Ethan smiled. "And I will guard you." Outside, the storm began to fade. Inside the small shelter, something stronger than fear or rules had begun to grow. Neither of them spoke, but both knew they were no longer just human and alien. They were something more. Something new, something bonded. Ethan could not stop thinking about the tall alien woman, Kairali. Her voice, her eyes, her quiet strength, they stayed in his mind for days. He had returned to the human camp, but something inside him felt different. Every time he looked toward the east, where the sacred lands began, he wondered if she was there. He tried to focus on his work. There was soil to test, crops to plant, and reports to send. But his thoughts always drifted back to Kairali. He had met many kinds of aliens during his job, but none like her. She didn't speak much, but her words had meaning. She didn't trust easily, but she had trusted him enough not to harm him. That meant something. One evening, as the twin suns set, Ethan heard a noise outside the camp. At first, he thought it was a supply drone. But then he saw a shadow, tall and quiet, moving near the edge of the farm. He stepped out slowly, hands open. Karawi? She stepped out from the trees. You remember me. Hard to forget, Ethan said with a smile. What brings you here? Karawi looked around. I should not be here. My people watch this land, but I had questions. Ethan nodded. Then asked. She came closer, still careful. You said humans come to build, but some of your kind have damaged our waters. Ethan sighed. Not all humans understand how to live with nature. Some just want fast results. I try to do better. Karali looked at the crops growing in neat rows. You grow food from this poor soil. That is a skill. Takes time and care, Ethan said. But it works. You just have to respect the land. She nodded. Respect. That is not a word used often among my people. Strength is valued more. Both are needed, Ethan replied. Respect makes peace possible. Karali watched him for a long moment. Then she said, Come with me. I want to show you something. Ethan hesitated. Will your people allow it? No, but I will protect you. He looked into her eyes and saw honesty. Then let's go. They walked into the dark forest. It was quiet except for the soft sounds of strange birds and insects. After some time, they reached a wide field filled with glowing plants. In the center was a broken statue of a large Askaran figure. This was my mother's place, Karali said softly. She was a great leader. She taught me to see more than war. Ethan looked around in awe. It's beautiful. Why is it broken? During a battle, she said. The enemy destroyed many places. Now, no one comes here, but you do, to remember her. To find peace. Ethan sat on a stone and looked up at the stars. I think she will be proud of you. Karali sat beside him. You are strange, Ethan. Not weak, but gentle. Not afraid, but careful. He chuckled. And you're not what I expected either. What did you expect? A soldier, cold and proud. But you single quotes . More than that. She looked at him with quiet eyes. Many fear me because of my size. I don't, he said. She leaned closer. Why not? Ethan smiled. Because I see the person inside. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Kay Raleigh said, You should go before someone finds you. Ethan nodded. Will I see you again? Maybe. If you listen to the wind, it may carry my steps. He stood and gave her a small wave. Until then. As he walked back to camp, Ethan felt warmth in his chest. Something was growing, slow and quiet like seeds in the soil. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew this was just the beginning. And far behind him, Karali stood in the glowing field, watching the place where he had walked, and feeling the same quiet warmth inside her. Armored chest. Ethan Cole stood on a rocky hill, staring at the horizon of Varela Ix. The sky was pale green and strange red trees swayed in the wind. He had seen many alien planets, but nothing like this. As an agricultural engineer, Ethan's job was to study the soil and help humans grow food on new worlds. Today, he had gone further than usual while mapping the land. His portable scanner beeped softly as he walked across the terrain. He didn't notice the signs. He didn't know that he had. Enter Forbidden's land. A loud, heavy sound broke the silence behind him. Ethan turned around quickly. Standing not far away was a giant figure. She was more than 8 feet tall, with dark, armor-like skin and glowing violet eyes. Her presence was powerful, and she held a spear taller than Ethan himself. She didn't speak at first. She just looked at him, surprised and cautious. Ethan slowly raised his hands, showing he had no weapons. Sorry, he said calmly. Didn't mean to trespass. Just doing some soil scans. The alien woman frowned. You are in Askaran's sacred land, she said. Her voice was deep but smooth. Then no, Ethan replied. I'll leave right away. The alien watched him closely. She could have attacked, but something about his calm eyes and respectful tone made her pause. He wasn't like other humans she had seen in the distance. There was no fear in his face, no anger, no pride. Just honesty. "You are lucky," she said. "Others would not be so kind." Ethan gave a small smile. "Then I'm lucky to meet you first." Her expression changed slightly. It was hard to tell, but Ethan thought she looked a little surprised. She stepped closer. Ethan stayed still. His heart beat faster, but he didn't move. Her shadow covered him as she looked down at him. "I am Karali," she said, "warrior of the Varela Keep." "Ethan." "Ko," he replied. "I grow things." Karali tilted her head. "A grower of life. That is rare among warriors." Ethan laughed softly. "I leave the fighting to others. Plants are harder than enemies. Anyway." Karali narrowed her eyes. "Strange human, you do not run. You do not lie." "Wouldn't help," Ethan said with a shrug. "I came by mistake." No reason to make it worse. Karali studied him for another moment, then lowered her spear. "Come, you will lead with escort." "Fair enough," Ethan nodded. He followed her as they walked. Karali asked questions. She wanted to know what he was doing, why humans came here, and what they wanted. Ethan answered simply. He told her about farming, about helping his team, and about how humans were trying to work with alien worlds instead of taking them. Karali seemed thoughtful. "Humans speak of peace, yet many carry guns. Some don't trust what they don't know," Ethan said. "But some of us just want to build, not fight." They walked for nearly an hour. Karali didn't say much, but Ethan noticed she no longer looked ready to fight. Her grip on the spear was loose, and she even made a few quiet remarks about the land they passed dotted the edge of the sacred zone. Karali stopped. "Go now. Do not return." Ethan nodded. "Thank you for not hurting me." Karali hesitated, then asked, "Why did you not fear me?" Ethan looked up at her. "You didn't attack." That told me enough. She blinked slowly. Then she turned and walked away. Ethan watched her go. Her large frame moved with power and grace. He had never met anyone like her before. Something in her voice, in her eyes, stayed in his mind. He turned back toward his camp, but his thoughts were still with Karali. Somehow he knew this was not the last time they would meet. Ethan woke up to the soft sound of breathing beside him. Karali was still resting, her large form stretched carefully in the corner of the shelter. Her wound was healing, but slowly. He had stayed awake most of the night, making sure she was safe. When she opened her eyes, she gave a small nod. "You stayed?" "Of course," Ethan said. "You needed someone." She sat up carefully. "I'm not used to needing help." "That doesn't make you weak," Ethan replied. "It makes you real." Karali looked at him. "My people would not agree." "Then maybe they need to learn." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You are brave, Ethan, but your kindness may bring danger." "Let them come," Ethan said, half joking. "I have a friend who is 8 feet tall." Karali smiled slightly, and for a moment the weight of their worlds felt lighter. They stayed together for most of the day. Ethan helped her walk around the camp. She was strong, but still tired. When the sun set, she stood by the fence, looking toward the dark trees. "They will search for me," she said. "I must return soon." "Will you be safe?" "I do not know. But I must try." "Come back when you can," Ethan said. "I'll wait." She looked at him. "I will return. That I promise." She left in silence, her tall figure vanishing into the forest. Ethan felt her absence deeply. The days passed slowly. He worked, but his heart wasn't in it. On the 5th day, a message arrived. A high-ranking Askaran had accused Karali of breaking sacred laws. She was being held in the mountain citadel for questioning. Ethan read the report with rising fear. That night, he packed supplies and left the human zone. The journey to the mountains was hard. Ethan used old maps and avoided patrols. He knew the risk, but he also knew he couldn't leave her alone. When he reached the edge of the Askaran lands, he saw the citadel rising from the cliff, guarded and glowing. Ethan waited until dark, then moved toward the side caves. He had learned from Karali how to find secret paths. Inside one of the narrow tunnels, he met an older Askaran woman. She wore no armor but had sharp eyes. "You seek the warrior Karali," she said. Ethan nodded. "She is my friend. More than a friend, perhaps. She carries your ring." Ethan blinked. "How do you know?" "I am her aunt. She told me before they took her. I do not agree with the council, but I am old. My voice is small. Can you help me reach her?" She looked at him. "Why do you risk so much?" "Because I care," Ethan said simply. She nodded slowly. "Follow me." Through dark paths and quiet halls, they reached a holding room. Karali sat alone, her arms chained, but her eyes were still. Strong. When she saw Ethan, her face changed. "You should not be here." "I had to come." The aunt opened the door. "I cannot stay long." "Speak quickly." Ethan stepped inside. "They want to punish you for being with me, but I'm not leaving you alone." Karali lowered her head. "They say I broke the code, that I bonded with an outsider. Is it true?" She looked into his eyes. "Yes, I chose you." Ethan took her hand. "Then I choose you too." A sound came from the hallway. The aunt motioned. "Go now." "I will delay him." Ethan hesitated. "Come with me. We can escape." Karali stood, then break the chain. He found a sharp tool in the room and freed her wrists. Together, they ran through the tunnels. Alarms sounded in the distance, but they didn't stop. They moved as one, human and giant. Past the rocks and shadows dotted dawn, they reached a hidden valley beyond. The cliffs. Safe for now, Karali sat down, breathing hard. Ethan sat beside her. "They will come for me," she said. "Then we stand together," he said. She looked at him with deep, steady eyes. "You truly mean to stay with me?" "I meant it the first day one met you." Karali touched the ring around her neck. "Then our bond is real." Ethan nodded. "And I'll never let it break." The sun rose behind them, casting golden light over the valley. For now they had peace. And they had each other. And both knew, deep in their hearts, that no matter what came next, they would face it together. Ethan and Karali stayed hidden in the valley for many days. The place was quiet and full of life. Trees with silver leaves danced in the breeze, and small glowing insects flew at night. It felt like a dream, a world far away from war, fear, and duty. Karali built a shelter using stone and branches. Ethan helped where he could, though her strength made most of the work easy. They lived simply, eating fruit, fish from a nearby stream, and supplies Ethan had brought. One evening, as they sat near a fire, Karali looked up at the stars. "My people will not stop searching," she said. "They may send hunters. Let them come," Ethan replied softly. "We'll find a way." Karali shook her head. "They follow rules, old ones. I broke those rules. If they find me, they may not listen." "To reason." Ethan looked at her. "What about new rules? Could you speak for change?" "Only if I return with something powerful," she said. "Something to make them see." Ethan was quiet. Then he asked, "What if I go back? Talk to the human side. Maybe we can bring others. Make this place a bridge, not a hiding spot." Karali touched his arm. "That is brave, but dangerous. I won't let them hurt you. I promise." The next morning, Ethan packed his small bag. Karali stood tall beside him. "If you do not return in 3 days, I will come for you," she said. Ethan nodded. "I know." They touched hands, her large fingers wrapping around his smaller ones. Then he left, moving through secret paths toward the outer human zones. It took him 2 days to reach a nearby outpost. He avoided patrols, changed clothes, and approached the gates like a traveler returning from field work. The guards didn't ask many questions. Once inside, he went to his old friend Clara. She worked in communication and had a good heart. "Ethan, where have you been? I need your help." But you can't tell anyone else yet. He told her the full story, Kirali, the bond, the escape, the hidden valley. Claire listened without speaking. When he finished, she sighed. You really care about her, don't you? Yes, more than anything. Clara stood up. All right, I believe you, and I think others will too. Let me contact someone I trust. The next day, Ethan spoke to a small human council. He told them about Karali's strength, her honesty, and how she saved him. He asked for peace, not just between humans and Acherons, but between Hartstadt. It was not easy. Some feared the Acherons. Some laughed at the idea of love between a human and an alien giant, but others listened. Some saw his eyes, heard his voice, and believed. Meanwhile, Karali waited in the valley. She hunted, repaired the shelter, and watched the stars. On the third night, just before sunrise, she saw lights far away. At first, she thought it was a search party, but then she saw a familiar shape. Ethan was walking toward her, followed by 3 others, 2 humans, and an Asker, an elder. Karali ran to meet them. Ethan smiled. I brought friends. The elder, dressed in long robes, bowed her head. Warrior Karali, I come in peace. I have heard Ethan's words. The bond you formed is not weakness. It is strength. Karali was quiet. Then she said, Do others agree? Not all. But enough. We must speak again, not fight. They sat together in the valley, humans and Acherons, sharing food and words. A new path began to open, one of understanding. That night, Ethan and Karali sat alone again under the stars. You did it, she said. We did it. She leaned closer. You risked everything, for me. You did the same, he said. She touched the ring still hanging around her neck. Then let me ask you this. Not as a warrior, not as an alien. As Karali, will you stay with me? Always? Ethan took her hand. Always. And in that quiet, glowing valley, their bond grew stronger. Not just a bond between 2 people, but between 2 worlds. And it all began with trust, respect, and love. News of Karali and Ethan's meeting in the valley began to spread. Slowly, carefully, word traveled through both Ascaron and human channels. Some saw it as a hopeful sign. Others were angry. Not everyone wanted peace. Karali stood before a new gathering of voices. The Ascaron Council had sent a message. They would allow a trial meeting between both sides, held in the neutral plains outside the capital. It was not a promise of peace, but a chance to speak. Ethan stood beside her as she prepared. Are you ready? Karali looked out over the trees. I am never fully ready, but I will go. The day of the meeting came. Karali wore simple robes. No armor. Ethan walked beside her, dressed plainly. Together, they entered the large tent where leaders waited. Voices rose. Some questioned her bond with a human. Others accused Ethan of trying to change Ascaron ways. Karali raised her voice. I do not ask you to change who you are. I ask you to see me. Not as weak, not as broken, but as someone who loves. I chose this bond, and I will not break it. A long silence followed. Then one of the human leaders stood. Love is not a weapon. It is a bridge. We should not fear it. Still, not all agreed. Some walked out. Others stayed, listening more carefully. That night, back in the valley, Karali was quiet. Ethan brought her tea from the herbs they grew. You were brave, he said. She shook her head. No, I was only true. Ethan sat beside her. Truth is a kind of bravery. The next morning, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was a young Ascaron warrior, tall and proud. She bowed to Karali. I am Mira. I saw your words yesterday. My sister died in the last war. I hated humans. But now, I am not sure. You spoke with honor. Karali nodded. Thank you for coming. Myra looked at Ethan. You are not like the ones who destroyed my village. Ethan said nothing at first. Then he said, I'm sorry for your loss. If I could Take back your pain, I would. Myra blinked. You speak like you mean it. I do. She sat with them that day, and for the first time, an Askaran warrior listened to a human story with an open heart. Days passed. More came to the valley, humans. And Askaran sat together, worked together, shared meals. It was slow, but real. One night, K. Raleigh turned to Ethan. This place was once for hiding. Now it becomes something more. It's home, he said. And yet, it cannot last unless we protect it. Together, they built a larger hall, with stone and wood, where all could meet. A symbol of unity. A place where words could be stronger than weapons. One day, Clara arrived. She had a message. The council will vote. Some wish to declare this land forbidden. Others wish to call it sacred. If they choose the second, it means peace. Ethan held Coralli's hand. We wait together. The vote came 3 days later. A message was sent to the valley. The land would be marked as sacred. A place for healing. A place for hope. Coralli stood among her people and Ethan's. Then we begin again, not as strangers, but as builders. That night, under the stars, Ethan and Coralli sat side by side. We changed something, Ethan said. Yes, Coralli replied. But the work is only beginning. He smiled. As long as we do it together. She leaned her head against his. Together. And in the heart of a world once divided, two voices, one human, one Askaran, began to guide a new future. One quiet step at a time. News of Coralli and Ethan's meeting in the valley began to spread. Slowly, carefully, word traveled through both Askaran and human channels. Some saw it as a hopeful sign. Others were angry. Not everyone wanted peace. Coralli stood before a new gathering of voices. The Askaran Council had sent a message. They would allow a trial meeting between both sides, held in the neutral plains outside the capital. It was not a promise of peace, but a chance to speak. Ethan stood beside her as she prepared. Are you ready? Coralli looked out over the trees. I'm never fully ready, but I will go. The day of the meeting came. Coralli wore simple robes. No armor. Ethan walked beside her, dressed plainly. Together, they entered the large tent where leaders waited. Voices rose. Some questioned her bond with a human. Others accused Ethan of trying to change Askaran ways. Coralli raised her voice. I do not ask you to change who you are. I ask you to see me. Not as weak, not as broken, but as someone who loves. I chose this bond, and I will not break it. A long silence followed. Then one of the human leaders stood. Love is not a weapon. It is a bridge. We should not fear it. Still, not all agreed. Some walked out. Others stayed, listening more carefully. That night, back in the valley, Coralli was quiet. Ethan brought her tea from the herbs they grew. You were brave, he said. She shook her head. No, I was only true. Ethan sat beside her. Truth is a kind of bravery. The next morning, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was a young Askaran warrior, tall and proud. She bowed to Coralli. I am Mira. I saw your words yesterday. My sister died in the last war. I hated humans. But now, I am not sure. You spoke with honor. Coralli nodded. Thank you for coming. Myra looked at Ethan. You're not like the ones who destroyed my village. Ethan said nothing at first. Then he said, I'm sorry for your loss. If I could take back your pain, I would. Myra blinked. You speak like you mean it. I do. She sat with them that day, and for the first time, an Askaran warrior listened to a human story with an open heart. Days passed. More came to the valley, humans. And Askaran sat together, worked together, shared meals. It was slow, but real. One night, Coralli turned to Ethan. This place was once for hiding. Now it becomes something more. It's home, he said. And yet, it cannot last unless we protect it. Together, they built a larger hall, with stone and wood, where all could meet. a symbol of unity. A place where words could be stronger than weapons. One day, Clara arrived. She had a message. The council will vote. Some wish to declare this land forbidden. Others wish to call it sacred. If they choose the second, it means peace. Ethan held Coralli's hand. We wait, together. The vote came 3 days later. A message was sent to the valley. The land would be marked as sacred. A place for healing. A place for hope. Coralli stood among her people and Ethan's. Then we begin again, not as strangers, but as builders. That night, under the stars, Ethan and Coralli sat side by side. We changed something, Ethan said. Yes, Coralli replied. But the work is only beginning. He smiled. As long as we do it together. She leaned her head against his. Together. And in the heart of a world once divided, two voices, one human. One aspirin began to guide a new future, one quiet step at a time. Weeks later, people from many worlds came to visit the valley. They came not to rule, but to learn. The story of the human and the giant warriors spread across the stars. Some called it strange. Others called it beautiful. A new center was built, not large or grand, but peaceful. It had gardens, small rooms for talks, and walls filled with carvings of unity. Children from both sides played there, and old warriors sat nearby, no longer holding weapons. Coralli trained young Acarans in both strength and peace. She taught them that bravery was not only in battle, but also in kindness. Ethan showed visitors how to grow life from the earth. He told them that trust took time, but gave more than war ever could. One evening, as the sun fell low, Coralli stood before a crowd. Ethan stood with her. She held a new symbol in her hand, a simple band made from both Ashgaran stone and human silver. She looked at Ethan and asked, Will you be my bondmate? Not just in secret, but in the open. Before all, Ethan smiled and took her hand. Yes, now and always. They placed the bands on each other's hands. The crowd clapped, some cheered, some cried. It was a marriage, not just of two souls, but of two worlds. And when night came and the stars lit the sky, they danced in the valley that was once a place of hiding. Now it was a place of hope, a place of love. And the story of Ethan and Coralli lived on, told again and again across the stars.